You're trapped on a movie set being hunted by bloodthirsty animatronics who want to turn you into a macabre circus attraction. Today we recap the movie, The Banana Splits from 2019. Harley is a boy who loves the famous TV show called The Banana Splits, even though everyone around him considers it too childish for him. His family is a bit of a problem as Austin, his half-brother, doesn't get on at all with Mitch, Harley's father, and his mother Beth is always trying to make them stop fighting. On the day of the boy's birthday, his mother buys 5 tickets to attend the live recording of an episode of The Banana Splits. As Harley's only friend was sick and could not go with the family, Beth calls the mother of one of his classmates and invites Zoe, who, although she does not say it openly, finds the boy very strange. As soon as he blows out the candles on the cake, Austin gives him a wand that looks more like a weapon, and soon after Beth and Mitch hand the tickets to the boy, who is extremely happy with the news. When they arrive at the entrance of the station, the family passes by the security guard who gives them instructions on how to get to the studio, and they also receive a map. With everything ready, they go to the queue where they find dozens of other fans of the Splits. Shortly before entering the studio, an employee named Paige starts checking tickets and finds a couple of unknown influencers who intend to broadcast live throughout the show, but as this is not allowed, the girl is forced to collect the young man's cell phone, which he only delivers because he could still broadcast on his girlfriend's cell phone. While Paige finishes checking tickets and collecting cell phones, the Banana Splits are driving their bug towards the studio when, in a moment of inattention from his mother, Harley steps in front of the vehicle to wave to his idols, almost getting run over by them. After getting her son out of the way, Beth gives the boy a scolding, and when she looks to the side, she sees that Mitch was so focused on his cell phone that he didn't even see that his son was almost run over. Angry at her husband's lack of attention, the woman takes the smartphone and hands it to Paige. With all the devices collected, fans can finally enter the studio. Inside, Carl, who is the creator of the animatronics, saw through the camera that the evil puppets almost ran over Harley and decides to upgrade the software to improve their reflexes, but something goes terribly wrong during the process. Backstage, while the producer is making preparations for the show, the newly promoted VP of programming at the network named Andy simply cancels the show and tells the woman that it will be the last episode. He couldn't have broken the news in a worse place. Turns out Drooper the lion was right next to them getting his update and heard the whole conversation, but is determined to get the show on the road. Before the taping begins, Paige tells the visitors that everyone who has stars on their ticket will be able to stay after the show to see the Splits, and when Beth checks the family's tickets, she sees that none of them had the symbol, making Harley very sad. Seeing his brother's sadness, Austin leaves the audience and decides to look for Paige backstage and finds her being attacked by Stevie, a drunk man who plays with the animatronics, who after being interrupted ends up kicking the two out of his dressing room. Not quite understanding what happened, the young man tells the girl about his brother's birthday and manages to convince her to let them stay after the show to see the Splits. As Paige takes the young man back to his seat, they find Snorky, the elephant keyboardist, standing in the hallway looking at them in a very bizarre way. In the dressing room, Stevie finishes drinking, and when he is going towards the stage, he hears Andy talking about the cancellation of the show. Happy with the news, the alcoholic actor goes to the stage, and after finishing the call, the deputy director is locked in his room and attacked by Bingo, the gorilla. As the show is about to end and the closing song is playing, Drooper hits Steve in the leg with his bass, which causes the actor to fall quite hard to the ground and feel humiliated. After the performance is over, Harley is sad about not having the stars on his ticket and walks with his family towards the exit, but they are stopped by Paige, who congratulates the boy on his birthday and invites them to meet the animatronics. But they certainly won't like this VIP prize at all. On the way to the dressing room, Stevie finds the Splits and very rudely says that the show is over and that he hated every second he spent with them, leaving Drooper's eyes reddening, a very bad sign. Stevie enters the costume room and, noticing that he was being followed by the lion, starts cursing him and even spits his drink in the face of the animatronic, who is frighteningly still. After the actor turns his back, Drooper takes a lollipop and shoves it down the man's throat, tearing his windpipe and spurting blood from his mouth. In the studio, while the drawn viewers were going to the Splits, Mitch's phone starts ringing and he goes out to answer it, but takes a while to return, which makes Beth suspicious that her husband has been gone for so long, and then decides to go out to look for him, finding him outside. Her companion gives every possible sign that he was doing something wrong, and she decides to take the cell phone and check what the secret was. When looking at the device, Beth sees that in Mitch's conversation with his assistant there were hundreds of libidinous photos. The man was cheating on his wife with his secretary. As soon as the woman finds out what happened, Austin finds the couple and starts a heated argument with his stepfather, and after tempers cool down, Mitch goes to the car while mother and son go to pick up the kids. As the man is walking to his vehicle, he begins to be chased by Snorky, and after a while of running, he ends up being cornered and narrowly missed being run over. Looking for help, Mitch goes to the entrance as he knew there would be security there, but when he arrives at the place he finds the employee totally static and touches him to get his attention, making the man's head fall into his arms. The traitor begins to back away until without realizing it he ends up in the middle of the street and is finally run over by Snorky, his own son's favorite split. Inside, the group of fans finally meet the animatronics and the couple of influencers rush to take the pictures. After taking the pictures, the boyfriend notices a red spot on the girl's face and tries it believing it was strawberry syrup that got on Drooper's hair, but the boy immediately realizes that it wasn't strawberry. While Paige takes the photos, a man named Jonathan who is with his daughter Parker, insists that the woman introduce him to the producer so he can show the girl's talent and maybe get his daughter into this world of fame, but after the woman refuses to help him, the man walks away determined that he would do it himself. After noticing the man walking around the place without permission, Paige runs after him and ends up leaving the group totally alone, who take the opportunity to split up and explore the place. The couple of influencers walk through the set until they arrive at Fleagle's magic store, the Beagle Dog, who is a guitarist and leader of the animatronics. In this place the man starts alive and asks his girlfriend to marry him live. After the girl says yes, they see from the cell phone camera that Fleagle is right behind them and the girl excitedly tells the animatronic about the engagement, who simply ignores her and breaks the boy's cell phone. The demented leader of the splits traps the man in a box and starts dividing him in half in front of his girlfriend, who goes into shock at the sight of her fiancé's body being split in two. As soon as he finishes the job, Fleagle separates the box and we can see the internal organs being divided. Gore Award of the Year. The animatronic begins to walk towards the girl who tries to defend herself and ends up ripping the coating off his arm leaving the metal pieces exposed. But when the guitarist is about to pick her up, he hears Harley and Zoe's voice in the distance, causing him to give up on the young woman and walk towards the children. When he reaches them, instead of doing something about them, Fleagle simply starts guiding them somewhere else. At the production office, Jonathan insists that the producer put his daughter on the show, and the woman tells him in a very despondent way about the cancellation, which makes Paige sad about losing her job. Knowing that everyone on the team has been fired, the annoying dad starts looking for Andy, and when he gets to the vice principal's office, he finds Drooper who gives the man that supreme toast to the face with a makeshift blowtorch while Bingo gets the girl. After suffering severe burns, the powerless man drags himself to the stage, where he meets some other people and tells them that the animatronics are out of their minds, attacking everyone. Determined to save the children, Beth and Austin start looking for them. Concerned, the producer asks Paige to call the ambulance and is left alone with the man, but Fleagle arrives on the scene, capturing the two and taking them to the place where the time of the slippery slope time occurs. Slippery slope time is a program where children have to make a slippery slope and pick up a key at the end. While trying to escape, the producer is held down and has her fingers broken by Fleagle. Seeing that they would have no way to escape, the duo begins the journey. Following through that goo, Jonathan, who had his face completely burned, slips and falls face down in the sticky jelly, and when trying to help him, the producer also slips and by reflex ends up putting her hand with broken fingers on the floor, and greater than her pain and the terrible agony she have him watching her. With a lot of difficulty the duo manages to reach the end of the route and realize that the key they were supposed to get was not there. The moment the producer asks for it, Fleagle sticks it in Jonathan's back and spins as if unlocking a door and then throwing the man's body from a height of more than 5 meters. Seeing Jonathan's fate, the producer takes advantage of Fleagle's distraction and jumps into the ball pool to try to escape, but when she tries to climb the stairs, Drooper appears and gives the woman a sledgehammer to the head. At the Splits workshop, Harley and Zoe end up being tricked and arrested along with Parker, who at this point doesn't even know what happened to her father. Austin and Beth continue to search desperately for the two until they enter a scene of greenery and the boy is caught by Bingo, being taken to a suspended platform. Determined to save her son who was trapped, the woman climbs up to where they were and throws the animatronic from a considerable height, damaging its robotic parts, leaving it out of combat. After descending the stairs, mother and son find the girl who has just lost her fiancé crouching next to the body, and when they ask for the children, the girl says that Fleagle took them. Seeing the woman's condition and knowing the risk she would run by staying there alone, Beth convinces her to help them in their search. As the group of kids try to get loose on their own, Carl shows up and we find out that he tried to convince the Splits that their behaviors were totally wrong, but had his fingers ripped off by his own creation. After a while trying to convince him, Harley manages to get the inventor to release them, but when the man picks up the keys, Drooper arrives bringing Bingo to be repaired. Those robots were like children to him. Carl drops the keys on the floor and runs to repair it. Taking advantage of everyone being distracted, Zoe picks up the keys that were on the floor and hides it. After Drooper leaves and the inventor begins to make the repair, The little girl opens the lock, and finally free, the trio tries to escape, but Carl holds Parker, forcing Harley to take a piece of hot steel and stick it in the man's forehead, giving the chance they needed to arrest him and escape from that place. While searching for the exit, the group encounters Snorky and are trapped, but trusting that their favorite split wouldn't hurt him, Harley walks up to him and surprisingly manages to convince him to help them. The animatronic then begins to guide them to the exit. Paige, who was looking for a phone, doesn't find one working, so she can call for help and as a last resort, goes to the production room where the viewers' cell phones were, but all the devices were in pieces. When she leaves the room, she ends up coming face to face with Drooper, who starts chasing her relentlessly. Paige hides in the ball pool, and after a few seconds inside she finds the body of the disfigured producer, taking an absurd fright. As soon as the woman screams, Austin hears her and decides to help her by pulling her out. A little calmer, Paige tells the group about the phones and says that the only one who could stop the animatronics is Carl, so the group decides to go to the creator of the hooded robots. Despite being hurt by his own creation, Carl loves them and refuses to help. Seeing that the inventor wouldn't solve anything, mother and son grab some tools to use as weapons and begin to follow a bizarre song that has suddenly started playing. In revenge for the elimination of her fiancé caused by Carl's creation, the girl takes a hammer and enters the cell where the inventor was imprisoned and eliminates him mercilessly. While walking down a dark corridor following the macabre sound, Paige slips on a pool of blood and is startled to see several bodies on the floor completely bloodied. The Splits took all those other adults who didn't have stars on their ticket and eliminated them, taking the kids to somewhere else. The trio then hears in the distance some screams of despair and decide to follow. Arriving at the place, they find Drooper and Flegel doing a simply macabre show. The animatronics have picked up Stevie's body with the lollipop still in his throat and strapped him to a tricycle. As part of the show, they start pushing him around the stage until they reach a flamethrower, which chars the body. As the animatronics make their display, Beth stays hidden trying to unchain the spectators who were chained to their seats. In the middle of the show, Snorky brings Harley, Zoe and Parker and chains them together with the others, but after the boy asks the elephant not to do this, he ends up giving them the key, enabling them all to break free. That's when Drooper and Flegel bring out a totally psychotic roulette wheel, on which Andy is nailed. They start spinning it wildly, dismembering the man in front of the audience. When everyone finally gets loose and starts to run, Beth tells Austin and Paige to take the kids while she buys time, and even though he's reluctant, the man leaves his mother behind. Determined to save everyone, the woman begins to strike Flegel, but is caught by Drooper, and just as she was about to be eliminated, Austin returns and sticks his crowbar into the dog's head, which stops working instantly. Seeing the elimination of his companion, the base doll knocks out the boy and begins to strangle Beth, who this time is saved by Harley, who throws his mother wand he received for his birthday. And it was the fatal blow, triggering the device that opens a hole in the animatronic's head. The best gift possible. Finally free, the family rushes to join the rest of the group, but Bingo appears brand new in front of them, and just as he was about to attack them, Snorky appears to help them and starts fighting with his teammate. Despite having his heart ripped out during the fight, the Split manages to open Bingo's head and damage his circuits, causing the last two animatronics to be eliminated, ending that nightmare. And so ended the revolt of the animatronics. What would you do if you found a giant, wild beast like this in your kitchen staring at you at night? So what did you think of this movie? Leave it in the comments below. And if you liked the video, please like and subscribe for more movie recaps. See you next time.